first, if you guys can. Tell me a little bit, Monique, about your situation. You have a child who has got a kidney problem, so you have to stay at home, right?
I have 4 children, and I'm a single parent. I've been a single parent pretty much.
Was it hard for you to get Section 8? Someone said you went into an accelerated program, right?
Yes, I got emergency Section 8 from staying in a shelter for 4 months.
And you say it saved your life, right?
Yeah, it did.
And Nelson, about your mom and your sister, please?
Yeah, I have my mom who recently just passed away, but also she was a Section 8 recipient for 25 years, and I presently have a sister who's under Section 8, and so I understand the need for Section 8.
Okay, then we're going to open the discussion, guys. What is the problem, as you guys are real estate professionals? What are some of the pitfalls of Section 8? What kind of problems does it present? And I'm going to go over here, you guys, so we can talk about some of the good things here, and so we can get the full mix. Jerry, what are some of the downfalls?
Some of the downfalls that in the long term, the Section 8 stigma, so to speak, is that there's no pride of ownership on the properties that are occupied by Section 8 recipients. So more often than not, people do not want to live and buy a home near Section 8
Vicky, do you experience that as well?
Yes. And also, some of the residents abuse the program. So it's not, I sympathize with Monique, I really do. She has a special problem, so I really sympathize with her. But on my years of property manager, I had seen that a lot of the residents really abuse the system.
Now, what do you guys think when people might lump your family or yourself into that group? I mean,
that's a generalization. I mean, that's just all it is. I mean, yes, there's always going to be one rotten apple in the barrel, and that's what we're going to focus our energy on. But the bigger problem is, what are we doing as a homeowner in terms of setting down the rules and regulations that the property requires itself to be? For example, are there rules that they have to follow, and if so, are they meeting the rules? And if you're not meeting the rules, who are you attacking? I mean, are you going to the tenant because they're there, or are you going to the Section 8 company?
What are some of the rules, Monique? Like, do you have to like sign a financial or?
No, it's pretty much. Well, there's rules for the Section 8.
But you cannot make a certain amount of money, or you can make a certain amount of money, or?
Well, there's some guidelines as to what the HUD requires people to go under a certain amount of dollars per year. If you make $10,000, you're one person, you fall into a certain category. If you're a two-person family income, you have a certain amount of money. For example, for one person, you can make as much as $10,000, as much as $24,000, depending on that, and then you get a 30% of that income of the person that makes goes to the Section 8.
Now, let's say, for example, Monique pays a portion of her rent. Now, that's the other part is guaranteed by HUD, right?
Or, correct.
So you guys that's always paid. Now, what happens when a tenant doesn't pay their portion?
You serve them with a 3-day
notice. We got problems.
You actually serve the resident with a 3-day notice. We also have to send that notice to housing.
So someone can get kicked out of their house for not paying $87.
Exactly.
So you always got to pay your 87 bucks.
Oh, yes.
Right? You always come up with it.
Yes.
Now, you live in a 2-bedroom house. Now, why didn't they give you a bigger place?
Well, I had 3 kids when I moved in, and it's pretty much 2 per room. So
are you ever going to get a bigger place?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I'm in the process of trying to get a request to move from the Section 8.
And that's going to happen. We're keeping our fingers crossed, because as the kids grow up, you said, Vicky, that sometimes they bring in more than one. Isn't that against the rules? Can't you get thrown out?
It is.
It's against the rules.
It's really hard to prove, though. Once you...
Oh, do they have the disappearing cousin? Oh, my cousin.
They're visiting.
Oh, Uncle Memo just stepped out, and then there's 4 people running around. That's Uncle Memo. No, that's Uncle Memo.
Isn't it up to the management's responsibility to monitor who goes into the apartment when they sign a lease? When the lease indicates that this is my husband and my wife and my 2 children, and anybody else are required to follow another set rules? I mean, isn't there a property manager who's on there who's supposed to be responsible for that?
Sure, and we definitely serve them, and they have to look for a different place.
Sure.
We're going to be back. Don't you look for a different place. We'll be back with more Cafe California, and we're talking about housing. We're going to talk a little bit about the housing shortage and how much money it costs to live in this town. Have you ever done this?